Hello and welcome to the What Are You Watching podcast. I am so excited for my guest today. You are a former AEW World Trio Champion. You are also the lead vocalist in God's Hate, and I think the scariest member of the House of Black. Brody King, how are you today?
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
I know I can't call you the scariest person, and then you have a nice smile on. I'm like, okay, maybe you aren't the scariest now. No, I'm so excited to speak with you. I mean, want to say congratulations on advancing to that four-way tag match coming up at Full Gear November 23rd. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that wasn't easy, but I think that beating FTR, we have a pretty good upper hand in this match now.
Yeah, you and Malachi are definitely no strangers to tag titles together, especially in PWG and with the trios title here. But why does this feel a bit different? The energy going into this match for House of Black feels so different. What do you think that is?
I think that we are just constantly trying to evolve and be better versions of ourselves, and we've had so many matches with FTR, whether it be trios, tag, cage match, ladder match. We've had so much, and it was like this was kind of like our one of our final chances to really cement that we belong in the ring with the best.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you guys are so intimidating. The moves together. I mean, not to say I don't like the trio, but I love the tag team of you and Malachi. It's just that you guys speak the same language, it seems, and that's always great as a tag team to kind of be like shorthanding. It just feels like there's that connection there. I love to see it.
Yeah, we're very much always on the same page, and it's like two halves of the same brain.
Well, a scary brain there. So, look, the title of the podcast is "What Are You Watching?" So, I want to ask you, what is the one of the last things you saw, either on streaming or if you got to venture out to the cinema? I don't know with your schedule if you're a moviegoer still, but yeah, what was one of the last things you watched?
I mean, I'm a big moviegoer. The last thing I saw was Heretic, and that was amazing.
Yes,
Uh,
I just watched that myself.
I mean, especially, if you know more of the content like God's Hate and like what I believe in, then Heretic is very much up my alley. And on streaming, we've been watching From.
Ooh,
So
oh, yes.
it's I didn't know anything about it, and then my wife asked me if we wanted to start watching it. And it was like, this is the third season starting. I've never heard of MGM Plus. So I just like bought the seasons on iTunes, and it's amazing. It's like a horror version of Lost, and it's
I was
fantastic.
just gonna call it that. I got to interview Harold Penwar from the lead actor from that a couple years ago, and he's so cool and he's so good in that show. And yeah, Heretic. I mean, watching Hugh Grant do a Jar Jar Binks impression, not on my list this year of things I thought I was gonna see.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So yeah, again, horror seems to be a big thing, and if I've done my research correctly, I should know your favorite horror movie by now, which I think is The Thing. So I want to kind of twist that up a little bit. Did you ever watch The Thing remake from 2011? And what are your
I did.
thoughts?
Yeah, it was, it wasn't there. There's like sacred things that you can't touch, and I feel like most John Carpenter things probably are in that list. Uh, Halloween, Rob Zombie didn't work out, but
Really?
uh,
See, I'm a low key Rob Zombie apologist. I guess again, I'm a new metal fan, so I love that Rob Zombie ness of his movies. But yeah, even it is weird though those holy things that we have that I'm like, you can't touch Halloween or The Thing.
yeah, I mean, well, like, so Rob Zombie, I feel like he absolutely crushes the aesthetic, and then the story just falls apart. You're just like
And he does love a swear
everything
word.
looks amazing. Like House of a Thousand Corpses, you're like, this is the coolest looking movie ever, and it could have gone like it could have been awesome. And then he's just like, wait, none of this makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
he likes a banana cuckoo pants. Crazy. He just
yeah,
loves to
yeah.
go out there. No, so what other horror films? What were some of the ones that you remember growing up that kind of got you to your love of pop culture? Because I need to get into everything you like back there. But yeah, when did kind of that spark happen for you?
Well, it's funny because it's like I feel like at a very young age I was watching movies I maybe shouldn't have, and it was like, my dad would show me movies, and it was mostly like as long as there wasn't like nudity or sex scenes, like we were good. So it's like I was definitely watching like Terminator and Predator and like Aliens at like a very young age. Like I remember being like terrified of like the the alien queen in Aliens, and
Hmm.
be like, yeah, but like that type of stuff like kind of stuck with me, like uh the xenomorph and the predator and like those like the T-800 with the skin stripped down, like that stuff was like always very cool to me and like intriguing. And then like, when I started to like venture out on my own when I was like a teenager, like I found like Cronenberg movies like The
Hmm.
Fly and stuff like that. And it was like that was like a whole nother bag. And it's like, I just saw The Substance as well last week, and that was like that was that's easily my favorite movie of the year, maybe my favorite movie the last couple of years. And it was like I understand if people don't like it as much as I did, but like body horror is like my favorite genre of movies. Like one of my favorite movies is Videodrome, like The Fly. I
Oh,
really
good
like all the stuff
picks.
that Cronenberg's son's been doing, like Infinity Pool.
Antiviral.
Yeah,
Yep.
Infinity Pool and what's the other one?
Oh, Possessor.
Possessor.
Hmm.
Possessor was awesome. Uh, but it's not he doesn't go as far as his dad did, and I feel like Substance was like this was like a love letter. They basically like wrapped this with a bow and put it on Cronenberg's desk, and it was like, yeah, this is incredible. And I love all like the visual callbacks to like The Shining and
Hmm.
and Psycho, and like it's just amazing.
And then you have Monstro Elizasu, and that's like, I mean, that thing lives in my burn. That monster thing at the end, so cool. I mean, just what a great movie. It's cool, and I love that you like body horror because I would say body horror and wrestling are vaguely adjacent.
Oh,
The,
100%.
the especially watching you throw around Darby. Sometimes I'm like, well, this is Freddy versus Jason over here. Like this is pure on that. So are you not intimidated by the body horror side of wrestling, but what kind of draws you to be a bit more of a risk taker sometimes?
I mean, I feel like most of my wrestling brain is just thinking of ways to like really just make the crowd feel very uncomfortable with what I'm doing, either to myself or to somebody else. And um, yeah, I mean, I feel like some of the smallest things people don't understand, like the impact that'll give. I mean, that's as a wrestler, like
Hmm.
they think like crazy flipping move that is very risky to your body will wow the crowd, which it does. But then like there's very little things that you can do that make that same visceral reaction, like the
You choking out
like
Darby over the ropes during like
yeah,
battle royales. I'm always like, oh boy. Yeah, I love that feeling though. That feeling of mm.
yeah. And that's what I live for. Is like I try to get that like horror reaction of like if I saw somebody doing this, how would I feel about that? And it's like crushing somebody into a barricade or you know just little stuff like that is what kind of makes me think I think a little bit differently than the average wrestler.
No, with your stature and your size, is there a monster or maybe I see Juggernaut in the background, a pop culture figure that you've really tried to kind of not emulate, but you have a bit of a Jason vibe sometimes where you're brutal or Victor Crowley from Hatchet. That's who I would compare you to. You have that kind of badass brutality to you.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that there is something to like that like stalking predator that's like he's just there. Like
Hmm.
he's not gonna be the quickest to you, but once he gets his hands on you, you're done for. So it's like that's definitely part of Brody King
Hmm.
in a nutshell.
Well, then you have the master manipulator of the Malachi there. So it's like he'll lure you in and then you just eat them up and then buddies. It's just like what a again, that's like that trio that you guys are. It's so terrifying. It's so cool. So I do want to ask you about horror adjacent stuff. I'm from Florida, so Kevin Sullivan was a wrestling figure I loved growing up. What do you think it takes to make a horror adjacent persona work in wrestling? Like, what is that key? Because I don't think House of Black's particularly horror based, but you guys have a spooky goth element to you. What do you think it makes something like that work? Because we've seen some of them not work in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to be able to tap into the like I said, the parts of the brain that make people like uncomfortable, but you can't go too far to where they just know that it is hokey and fake.
Hmm.
Uh, like for instance, like the our entrance for the House of Black as a trio, we come out to a death metal band called Dead Body. But before that, there's that like really crazy like screaming noise, and that is like an recording of an exorcism. Whether that's real or not, I don't know, but that's what it is. So it's like just that like noise is just like this is very like off-putting, like but and we've never like people like to say that we're supernatural or this or that, but like we've never done anything that's like
Hmm.
not out of the realms of possibility. Uh and I feel like when if you come out there and you're like, you have monster makeup on or whatever, and like you pretend like you can't speak or I don't know, like you can't be
Hmm.
controlled. Like then people are like, okay, this is fun, but it's not. It's like kind of hokey. It's like if there's just like three guys dressed in suits that are like hurting people and like they don't really have a motive behind it. It's like like the
Yeah.
movie The Strangers. Like when they're like, "Why did you do this?" and you're like, "You were home." You're like, that's the worst response ever. Like, you're like, this is fucked up.
That exactly explains the House of Black, though. It's because you guys were here. That's that
Yeah.
that vibe you guys give. Ooh, I like that. I've never thought of you guys as like the strangers, basically. But ooh, that is a great way of looking at the group because again, it is grounded in reality. You feel the horror coming from you guys, and it's so interesting. Even though if you guys aren't boo monster, it's interesting of how you guys can do it.
And I mean, like even coming down, like we are very meticulous and thoughtful of like our gear and like our entrance and everything. It's like, even down to like what I wear out in my entrance gear. It's like if you saw somebody coming down a dark alley that was covered in tattoos, had a ski mask on, and you're just in a chain around their neck, you're just like, ah, fuck, like this is not good for me. You know what I mean? Like then those are the type of things that I want to set the tone immediately. Like this is what I'm about, and this is what's about to happen.
I mean, you say that too, then I'm like, but I love the God's Hate clothing line. That all looks comfortable as well. So, I mean, I love the ads you guys did for Wembley when you guys are just messing with people. It was so great.
All
No,
very, very colorful and very, yeah, loud.
again, that's just so funny about you guys. It's like you guys all have this like this dark energy, but then just fun lightness. Is there something that people wouldn't expect Brody King to enjoy? What's kind of I don't want to say maybe a guilty pleasure, but I see X-Men back there. Did you watch X-Men 97 this year?
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm a massive comic book fan. Like this weekend, I just got a first appearance of Ghost Rider. That
Oh.
was pretty cool. That's one of my like grails. But yeah, I mean, I obviously love toys. I love comics and video games. That's where I pull a lot of my thoughts and source material and stories from. You know, I feel like too much people pull from the past of wrestling, and it's like
Mhm.
you can only go that well so many times, and there's only so many people that can do that so many times. But it's like if you go to movies and comics and whatever else, like there's so much there and like so much untapped potential. Um, I would say like probably the thing that people are always surprised about is that I'm like a huge pop music fan. Uh, there's many a drives where me and Malachi have just been like, we just put on like a pop playlist and we're just like, know every song, every word to every song. And it's like buddies in the backseat being like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like, we're like, dude, what are you don't like Robin? I don't know. Like,
Ooh, a Robin one. Ooh, thank you. Actually, you know what? You just made this little gay boy's day of Brody King busting out a Robin reference today. Ooh, again, then I love the mix though of horror seems to be everywhere. Like I love Lady Gaga's new song "Disease" that has such a horror vibe to it too. I love that like the scary and the spooky seems to kind of seep its way into everywhere.
yeah,
We always find a way of making it ours too. Us weirdos love seeing other weird stuff happen.
it's very true. Like I felt almost like slighted when Gaga stepped away from the weirdness, and I was just like, this isn't for me anymore. Like when she made that like pseudo Christian country album, I'm like, I don't know if I got like two songs in. I'm like, I'm done. I'm never listening to this again. It's like give me art pop again. Give me Fame Monster. Uh,
Brody, you just said the word art pop on my Friday. My goodness, I don't know what to do with you now. You just jumped up so many lists of my favorite wrestlers ever now.
But yeah, when Chromatica came out, that was
That was
my
a good
coming back
return.
point. Yeah. I
No,
I I haven't sunk into Disease yet. It doesn't have like a definitive hook in it,
mhm.
and that's like what's kind of been stopping
That's
me. But
pop music. That's pop
I'm
music. You need
sure,
that hook.
yeah, I'm sure that whatever she comes out with is going to be amazing.
No, that's no, I love to hear that. So, for my last question, I like to kind of wrap this up with I would like you to suggest to me one match or one movie I need to see. You could give me both if you have, but I think all wrestling fans, I love deep diving into a finding a match from 1984 that I'm like, how did I find this on the internet? Or an AEW match, or maybe a movie that I definitely need to add to my list. It's easier than saying your favorite.
Match and movie.
Or you don't have to do both.
Well, match. I can't think of the year. The year is escaping me, but it's kind of based in like supernatural horror-ish. Uh, the Great Muta versus Jushin Thunder Liger. I think it's
Ooh.
90. It's in the 90s.
It has to be like
So
94. That feels like that kind of era.
95 maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But like it reveals something at the end of the match that is like incredible. I think both are two of the greatest to ever do it. Um, yeah, go check that match out. Movie. Uh, I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen it, but I feel like a lot of people haven't. If you haven't seen Videodrome, go watch it. It's very uh body horror. It's very like topical with propaganda and like mind control type stuff. So if you haven't seen Videodrome, go check that out.
Yeah, Videodrome and what's the Roddy Piper, John Carpenter one? I can't think of
They
it right
live.
now. They live. They are
They
like a
live.
weird like propaganda like the horror of that double feature right there.
And it is very topical to today's climate.
Yeah, yeah, we'll keep it at that. It's the only times I want to deal with James Woods is when I'm watching
Yeah.
Videodrome or
Yep.
watching Hercules again.
Yep.
So no, no, Brody, thank you so much for talking with me today. It was awesome. This is the whole point of the show was getting to know weird stuff about my favorite wrestlers and people who, again, I did not know you would know the words art pop in your brain. So learn something new today. It was great.
That's my favorite Gaga album.
Oh my goodness. I hope you win that belt this coming weeks now. I need it now. No, thank you, Brody. I hope you have a good day, okay?